Season 8 has been out for over a month now, so I thought I'd revisit the discussion about the game mode and see how it's faring now that the majority of the player base will have had some time with it. Obviously, we're already aware of some imminent changes coming to the way matchmaking works, and I'll touch on that again in this video, but I want to talk about how your everyday player is feeling now that the game mode has been available for a solid 6 weeks or so. Hello pirates, my name is Ellie and I post regular Sea of Thieves videos on this channel. If you want to stay up to date with the game, then remember to subscribe and hit the bell to be notified when I put up a new video. I also have a Discord server that you can join over at ellieboop.com/discord, and you can find me on Twitter at ellieboopplays. One of the biggest problems I think that's emerging is that casual players are already giving up on the game mode. There are a few reasons why I think this may be the case. There are no rewards from level 1 all the way to level 100 for allegiance. While I agree there's nothing wrong with a grind, and many people will refer back to the Year 1 and Pirate Legend grind, I have to say I can't help but think there should be something a little more rewarding as you progress towards your curses. Using the Pirate Legend grind as an example, you would get a new cosmetic of some kind, like clothing, ship items, and even weapons, as you leveled other factions, and so it does seem odd that a choice was made for there to be literally 0 rewards from grinding out this mode. Sure, you do get the figureheads for each faction at level 20, 40, 60 and 80, but to be honest, they're pretty similar as you upgrade them, and in reality, I'm not going to be using these figureheads over my favourite ones that I've saved to my ship. This lack of basic rewards has probably left casual players feeling like the grind is just not worth it, especially for players who aren't able to play every single day. We have a few friends who are very casual players, and they're barely rank 20 with each faction, despite diving whenever they do play. They're already starting to get discouraged because level 100 is such a distance, and with no real rewards on the way, they feel like their playtime is not really getting them anywhere. The problem with this is that despite the mocking of casual players that you regularly see on the internet, casuals are what keep live service games alive. Hardcore players are not a great barometer for the health of a game. We come back and grind stuff out no matter what, we love the game. However, casual players are the players who see the trailers on YouTube, they get hyped, they log in to play, and are then immediately disappointed because their limited playtime is met with 0 rewards. One thing I have noticed becoming a bit of a problem, although this could just be us, is that if we have a break from fighting and take a look at the world map and see a Reaper grade 3 or 4 or even 5 on the map, we rarely feel that it's actually worth our time to go after them now. Let's say there's a grade 4 Reaper north of Smuggler's Bay or south of Discovery Ridge. Chances are they're mid-battle or have just finished a battle, and if you're more than 4 or 5 squares away, they'll probably have dived again before you can get there. This isn't always a problem for us because, to be honest, we're usually in the mood for a world event or something less PvP if we take a break from diving, but it's something I noticed was a new thing in Adventure. Reapers on the map just aren't as much of a target anymore because chances are they're popping in and out of servers faster than you can get to them. This obviously does mean that for purely PvE focused players, you'll likely experience less PvP on the open seas, although I'm going to talk more about that a bit later. Skill-based matchmaking is another area which I feel isn't quite what players were expecting. Sea of Thieves uses a variation of the ELO matchmaking system, and whilst this is used in a lot of other online shooter games and even in real life sports, it's not the most reliable system for matching opponents of equal skill. The problem is it works to a win-loss ratio and doesn't seem to equate for experience, and in a game like Sea of Thieves this is actually legitimately a problem. Let's say you're a new player but you have some skill with video games in general. You've played 10 battles and won 4. You have around a 40% win ratio. You've won 40% of your games. However, you could then be matchmade against a player who's played 1,000 battles and won 400. You have the same win-loss ratio and so the game will match you, but the second player has a vast amount more battle experience than you, and so you will likely feel very outplayed. Now, this would certainly explain why a large number of newer players or below average skill players are getting frustrated to be coming up against players with the curses before they've even got to rank 10 on their allegiance. If the skill-based matchmaking could take into account the number of battles a player has taken part in, then perhaps the matching would be more reflective of what players were expecting when they heard that skill-based matchmaking was going to be used. These issues need to be addressed, in my opinion. If they don't, then the game mode will likely go the way of Arena, and there'll be a large population of players who are unable to ever access these curses. Because the player population will become so low, the queue times will be so long that it just won't be worth the grind. I do have a lot of faith that Rare will be doing something about keeping this game mode alive. In recent interviews, I've heard them talk about having a new team at Rare that they've specifically put together to focus on game health and making sure that balance patches and bugs and other issues are ironed out more quickly. It does feel like they've been more reactive to the issues that the community have raised lately, so I'm hoping that going into 2023, they will make even more iterations on the game mode to keep players engaged not just for the rest of the season, but for the rest of the year. I released a video last year about the upcoming matchmaking changes, and I tweeted out to Andrew Preston, lead designer on Season 8, in early January asking for an update on these expected fixes. He responded by telling me that they are working hard to get these updates to us as soon as possible, and so I expect we'll have something by the end of the month. The first of the changes that are coming are same faction battles, where Reapers will be able to fight other Reapers and Athenas other Athenas when diving for fights. Currently, there is usually a much longer wait time for one of the factions, and this can cause problems if you're waiting to level a specific side. This change, when in effect, will mean that the queue times should stay fairly even across the board. The other change that's coming, which will probably be the most impactful to the matchmaking times, is the stamp migration change. Currently, Sea of Thieves servers are separated into stamps to keep things running smoothly. However, they have identified that this unfortunately means that when you're searching for a battle, you're not only looking for a crew in your region, but also on your particular stamp. Currently, it's not possible for people on separate stamps to merge together, but they're actively working on this, and that's one of the changes that should be coming before the end of the month. I'm assuming that they're doing some significant testing with this before release, given that their servers have always worked in this way to keep things separate. It will be a shame if they introduce this stamp migration to help the game mode, but it ends up affecting the experience of the overall game. Now, don't get me wrong, it's not all doom and gloom. There are some real positives that have come from the new Season 8 content. Firstly, the seas in general seem more lively, and I think this season is faring better in terms of long-term playability than other seasons have in the past. Take Captaincy and Season 7 for example. In all honesty, once you'd named your ship, there wasn't much to do but to continue playing the game the way you always had. This new Season 8 mode has brought an entirely new way to play, and I know for our crew we've certainly spent most of our playtime lately diving for fights, rather than the same old world events and voyages we've been doing before. That's not to say that we don't pop to a Fort of Fortune or an Ashen Winds event every so often, especially if there's another ship there. Speaking of which, it does seem like there is more acceptance of PvP since the new mode was released. I think it did something to help players that are new to the game understand that PvP is part of this game. Unfortunately, you do still get the whole go and play battle mode if you sink someone in adventure mode sometimes, but that comes from a place of frustration and misunderstanding for the most part. Although I did get told to go and play Minecraft when I was in the battle mode the other day, so it swings and roundabouts. All in all, I think the mode is faring pretty well, considering it's been about 6 weeks and it's still got me hooked. We're looking at about another 9 weeks before Season 9 kicks off, and of course we have the next adventure in only 2 weeks. Given that this adventure content is designed to keep players around mid-season, I would say that Season 8 is the first season that I'm likely to play essentially non-stop up to the next season. If they continue to add content to seasons that comes in the form of new ways to play, and brings feature sets that are rich enough to enhance the sandbox beyond the regular voyages we've been doing for nearly 5 years now, then I think they're on to a winner. How are you finding Season 8 now that it's been out for a while? Are there any changes that you can think of that will help the game mode? Let me know down in the comments, and if you're one of the players that's already given up, let me know why. If you like the video, then please do leave a like and subscribe for more Sea of Thieves content. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you on the seas.